at the Fox 10 News Now Center. I wanted to tell you about a story that we had on the air last night, and we're going to have again at 4 o'clock, taking a look at electric vehicles in Alabama, which right now make up a tiny, tiny percentage of the overall cars, well less than 1%. However, some experts think that we're on the verge of this big conversion, and we're going to have, within a 3 to 5 year time period, a majority of cars being electric cars. So we wanted to take a look at that and how likely is that. We talked to a man in Gulf Shores who has a Tesla Model 3, which I can attest is a fantastic vehicle. Although it's a pretty expensive vehicle, it costs about $50,000, which is out of reach for most car buyers. So the question is, will the cost of these vehicles continue to drop at the rate that they have been so that they reach cost competitiveness with regular vehicles? If it does, there's every reason to think that we will see a dramatic increase in the number of electric vehicles sold because of the cost savings. And that is one of the issues that we looked at. And there is Bob Keener's Tesla. It's a very nice car. We built this online calculator so that readers going to our website, fox10tv.com, it's up there right now, can sort of run the numbers and see how much they pay in gas for their own traditional vehicle compared to what Bob Keener pays in extra electricity costs. Because of course it's not free to drive an electric car fuel-wise, even though you're not putting gas into the machine. You are still having to pay a small amount more in electricity, which is about 12 cents per kilowatt hour. So first thing you would do is you just come down here and how many miles per gallon does your car get? This varies depending on whether you are driving on highway roads or in cities. But let's just say for the sake of argument that our car gets an average of, say, 24 miles a gallon. The average price for a gallon of gas currently in Mobile, according to AAA, is $2.12. And then you have to say how much you drive in a month. So let's say we drive 1,200 miles in a month, and then this will run the numbers. So based on what you would be paying in gas at that rate versus what the electricity cost would be for the Tesla to plug into your house, you'd save about $106 a month, or you'd pay about $106 a month to fuel your car, and Bob Keener's Tesla would use about $36 extra a month. So that's an annual savings of about $840. So you can see right there that for a kind of typical car, the savings in fuel, even when you factor in the fact that you don't have to get oil changes either, are going to be dramatically more expensive. The numbers just aren't working out. But you got to play with it. It's kind of fun to see if you have a true gas guzzler, you're only making, say, 16 miles per gallon. At that same rate, well, then your savings are going up more. Now you're talking about an annual savings of almost $1,500 a month. Of course, it can go the other way too. Let's say you have one of those gas-electric hybrids. You're getting 38 miles a gallon. Then your savings are coming way down. And of course, you can change the price for gas as well, because we all know that the price of gas varies pretty widely. Let's say you're paying $3 a gallon. Then it's going up even for a fuel-efficient car. Remember when we were looking at $5 gas a few years ago? Well, if the price for gas were to shoot up that much, and you're talking about almost $1,500, and that's with a good car. You can imagine if you have a car that, say, only gets 22 miles a gallon. Well, at a certain point, depending on how expensive gas is or how poorly your car does in gas mileage, you start reaching a savings level where maybe you start thinking about this. You're saving almost $3,000 a year in gas, and you're talking about maybe over a 10-year life of the car, $25,000, $30,000 in savings, and then you're going to have something that maybe it works out to get one of these cars. But that's only one consideration. We talked to Tesla owners. They say it's nice saving the gas, but they just love the car. It's fun to drive, it's fast, it accelerates really fast, and it's a very smooth ride, very quiet. There's no engine, so it's it just hums along, doesn't make any sound at all, really. So right now, these cars are doing very well in the high-end market, luxury car buyers, people who are their alternative would be a $40,000 or $50,000 luxury vehicle. At that level, the electric car starts to make much more sense. And you dial it back and take a look at someone who's paying $20,000 for a car or $15,000 for a used car. You have to drive an awful lot to get the numbers to work out that way if you're just looking to save money on it. So it's a pretty interesting issue. As I said, right now, something like a tenth or a third of 1% of the cars on the roads in Alabama are electric vehicles. It's not easy to even see one. It's almost negligible. In some other states, that penetration is much higher. But still, even in California, where the percentage is the highest, it's under 10%. So this is a very new thing, a very niche market, and the question that really can't be answered definitively for now is this just sort of where it stands? Is this going to be a niche alternative for high-end, wealthy car buyers, or is this going to go like cell phones did, where 15 years ago, almost no one had a cell phone, and then in a 10-year time span, everyone had a cell phone. There's a lot of good arguments on both sides of that. You can check out our story. It's up on fox10tv.com under investigations, where we explore that, talk to experts on both sides. You can watch the video of the vehicle actually in action. And on the broadcast coming up at 4 p.m. on TV, we're going to be re-airing the story, so you can watch it there. But it's really, I guess it's something that's unknowable at this point. You're going to have to wait really to see what the world looks like in 5 years. And if the cost of that battery has come down to the point where it's cost competitive, then you might start seeing a lot more. And if not, then you probably won't see a lot of electric cars 5, 10, maybe even decades after that. One issue we did explore is in Alabama, there's now a $200 fee that electric car owners have to pay. That kicked in January, so when you have to pay a registration fee whenever your license comes up, if you own an electric car, you got to pay an extra $200 on top of that. That was passed as part of the gas tax, and the rationale was if you're driving an electric vehicle, you don't pay the gas tax because obviously they don't use gas. So the idea is, well, electric car owners should have to pay their share for the roads and bridges that everyone uses. Although $200 is more than most drivers are going to be paying in the gas tax. So some people have complained about the fairness of that based on the rate, and whether this is something that would be a deterrence, a discouragement against buying electric cars, whereas some states actually offer tax incentives to buy them. One interesting thing to note with that fee is that part of that money is going to be dedicated to giving grants to encourage the construction of charging stations. There's only, I believe, one other state that does something similar to this. So that actually, in the long run, could encourage the electric vehicle industry in Alabama, because one of the deterrents other than the cost is people worried, am I going to be able to charge up the car from going on a long trip? Even this high-end car gets about 300 miles on a charge, and if that battery's charged down, if you're going from here, say, to Huntsville, you're going to need to quote-unquote refuel someplace, and it's not like there's a lot of gas stations for a lot of electronic vehicle stations. There are a small number of Tesla superchargers where you can plug in. It takes about an hour to fully charge, but there's not many of those. So that's sort of like a chicken-egg thing. A lot of people have been reluctant to put a lot of money into building those stations since there's so few cars, but one of the things that is preventing the number of cars from growing is the lack of these stations. So the idea is maybe the state gives some of these grants, encourages the construction of these stations, people have more opportunity to recharge on a long trip, that might tip the scale. So that's another thing to keep an eye on. It's a fascinating car and a really interesting issue, and something we're just going to have to watch. But again, if you want to watch the full report that we aired last night, we're going to air it again at 4 o'clock on the news, and you can go to fox10tv.com look for investigations. You can find the story. You can find this online calculator that we built right here that allows you to run your own numbers to see how much are you paying in gas and how much would you be paying in electricity if your car was an electric vehicle. So that's really kind of the issue. And so for now, this is Brendan Kirby from Fox 10 News, and we will see you online and also on the air.